I'm happy with
Here
that.
we go. Here we go. Okay, here we go. One more time. Okay, you are?
Tom Mann, Executive Director, New Brunswick Union of Public and Private Employees.
Listen, you guys are going to move.
Yeah.
Why is that now?
Well, we're actually only temporarily moving out of this building. We've grown, and we're expanding. Oh, absolutely.
I thought the government cut jobs. Huh?
Well, no, in the last...
I'm smiling here.
In the last 10 years, Charles, we've grown from 5,500 members to 8,300. We've taken on new workforces, and we've been able to do it by organizing the unorganized and not going after any other unions and their members, but rather people have said, hey, they're doing something right, they're progressive, we want to belong to them. And we've outgrown this building.
Yeah, so where are you moving?
Well, we're temporarily going up off the Hanwell, and we're just putting on an extension onto the back of this building.
Extension? What,
Yep.
do you own this building?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you don't lease it?
No. We bought this cash on the barrelhead 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're going to do an expansion
An
in the back?
expansion. Yeah. Yeah, we'll add, we don't have a boardroom here that houses our members. And our meetings. We used to have one, but we had to chop it up for offices, and we're having to go out and pay the corporate hotels the rooms for press conferences and meetings larger than 12 people. So
this will save money this year.
This is an investment, and we believe that we have a strike fund like every other union worth their salt.
Maybe at the wrong time, but the new government, you might be on strike pretty soon. We need the money.
I hope not. The fact is that the public services, something that was discussed over at the economic summit was, government spending too much. And government increased spending. The fact is, government spending before this recession was on a downward spiral. Government was spending less percentage of taxpayers' money on public services than they had been before. What had gone up was expenditures to businesses. So they're trading business donations, contributions, and loans in exchange for decreasing public services. So we've got a real challenge on our hands. Our members work in virtually every department of the government, in every town, city, and village in the province, and we know that public services are absolutely vital to the quality of life in those towns. And whenever the government says, "Hey, we need to cut," we can't deny that there's a deficit, Charles. We got to figure out a balance as to how we're going to improve quality of life in this province and not have what society wants to go forward and say we're going to hurt people. We can't hurt people. We have money in this province. We have revenue, but it's where they're spending it. People say, well, what do you mean? Give me an example. Well, in the last 5 years, we lost $120 million and got nothing in return. $72 million to ATCON. Poof.
Oh, yeah.
Gone. Over $55 million to the Caisse Populaire in Sheboygan. Poof.
Gone.
Nothing gone.
Yep.
We got nothing in return.
And the MLA's pension.
The MLA's pension is another issue. Is another issue where there has to be more accountability, and that was the whole purpose of our campaign over the election period, was to make sure that the government being elected would be accountable, and when they make decisions like that they go to the public.
I never thought that just asking you why you're moving will turn into a big political debate here.
Well, that's why we're expanding. People like what we're saying.
How old are you, Tom?
Pardon me?
How old are you?
I'm 53 years old.
You're 53 years old. And so when do you plan to retire you?
Oh, I'll never retire.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'll never retire.
No, I'm glad to hear it. It takes a long time for you to be educated on issues.
Mm.
Yeah,
I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah, look at you 15 years ago. And there's no way you would say, oh, we got to sit down with the government and be open to each other. No way. That would be the radical way.
But let's understand something. The political world has changed in the last 20 years. When we were sitting down with the McKenna government in 1991, 1992, he wasn't talking about, hey, we need to work together. And that didn't come overnight.
But he was a dictator, 58 seats, come on.
So then we moved through, we've had some different political eras. I've been working since 1982 in the public service. Yeah. 5 years with Hatfield, 10 years with McKenna.
You remember Hatfield too?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And 10 years with McKenna.
How was Hatfield?
Hatfield was. This has nothing to do with our building expansion.
No, I know. Here we go. You know, once I get talking to you, it's like I don't know. There's so many issues.
I'll tell you this: that it was certainly a different era back then, a different time. There was, there was a much more cooperative feeling in this province. There was great expansion. We just came out through the Louis Robichaud equal opportunity, and he was very open. I remember in 1982 he called a meeting of union leaders, and we actually met at his house, and we went down and he said, "Here's the financial situation. Guys, we need help. Can you help us?" And that was Hatfield's approach. We got to McKenna. There was no going to McKenna's house. He wouldn't even come to meetings with us. And there was no discussion about we need help. This was the way it was going to be done. So of course your back gets up, your heels dig in, and unions have to organize themselves. So then we went through that 10-year period. Then we had 2 years of Camille Thériault, which quite frankly,
a year I think.
Yeah, it was sort of like a lost period in time. I think the Thériault government paid the price of the 10 years of McKenna.
Yeah.
Then we had Mr. Lord.
Yeah.
And through that 7-year period, he just sort of was the custodian. Like not a lot was really done. He managed to keep the status quo. I call that period the Liberal 7-year itch. and then we had, of course, Mr. Graham was elected, and a lot of the old McKenna agenda came back. And Mr. Graham was a very personable person. Yeah. Very nice individual guy, one-on-one. And he tried to deliver some very tough reforms in the province using the McKenna way. Yeah. And not saying, hey, come in and what do you think? And that's why now with Alward, through the course of that whole evolution and the discussion over the MB power, and people are tired in this province as politics as usual, and they're tired as business as usual. Yeah. And you know what? I think the unions have to understand that too. It's not politics as usual. It's a different. And if we resort back to old politics, what can we expect from the politicians? They're going to do the same thing. So if we're going to show leadership, let's do it.
Very well said. Okay, so you're going to move in Henwell when?
Next, I think Rhodey here next Wednesday.
What's the address?
I'll have to ask someone inside.
That's all right. So you're moving back here when?
Hopefully in July.
In July.
Yeah, it'll be 6 months.
Thank you very much.
Okay.